Right, we should be live. Let's go.
We came here looking for Bitcoin. Looking for those mad gains. Instead, I guess we're too late. I think I found someone, boys, but this can't be right, boys.
No way! Get your ass back to the ship! Go on!
Maybe Elvis is dead after all.
This is Radar Command. Prepare for incoming control attack.
The data! It's all coming so fast! This is awesome, Victor!
This is Bridge to Command. Reset all coordinates to Pulsebitcoin.
Where did you get this new hyperdrive from, mate?
Got it off Dr. Dave down at Spaceport 3, getting 3 hyperdrives a day out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Tonight, we are talking everything post-Bitcoin, everything ASIC mining token, and post-Dogecoin. Yes, you're in the right place.
The stream will commence shortly.
Pulsebitcoin is fully decentralized. No founder, government, bank, or hacker can shut it down. The code is 100% immutable. Pulsebitcoin has a limited supply of 21 million and is deflationary, unlike the US dollar.
Hey man, I heard about this Pulsebitcoin thing, man. It's just real. How do we get some? Give me the website, man. We're gonna buy it.
The live stream has commenced. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the solution.
Yes, that's correct. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the solution. Welcome everyone, for the 10 people that are here live. Yeah, it's been 3 weeks, but we're back. We've got a bit of an interesting show for you tonight. It's not going to be me just talking, because that gets boring. Obviously, we're going to go over what's happened, you know, the price charts, what's happened in the data for Pulse Bitcoin, for Pulse Doge, for ASIC mining token. But today, we've teamed up with the guys from Tetra. You may have heard of Tetra, you may not. The reason that I've invited Tetra on is some of them have been part of our community, but they're part of the Pulsechain community, and they're building something really exciting, which I've been keeping a close eye on from the very start. So there's no conflict of interest, which is even more exciting here. Tetra is a utility token. It's actually there to build and improve on all the aspects of DeFi, to automate. Well, I won't go any further. I'll let Neil, my guest today, talk to you about that. But let's bring him in. Let's see if this works. How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing well.
Welcome to the stream, brother. So I don't know. Do you want to maybe obviously, you know, people in the Pulsechain community, we know you, Neil4TShares. Do you want to maybe just give a little bit of background about yourself before we talk about Tetra?
Sure, yeah. So, like most people, I got into the crypto space. I think, I don't know, it's been a while now. It was 2020, I guess. And I got into the centralized finance and the whole thing, just trying to learn about it, and educate myself, learning about blockchain technology and how the technology is developed. I really spent a lot of time, looking at different protocols, like Cardano and Ethereum. I looked into Polygon, et cetera, and just eventually I found Richard Hart through some of the streams he was on, and heard what he was talking about Hex and his theory of money and value and stuff, and that was really intrigued. So I decided to go ahead and really follow that path. And then once I read and studied on Hex and learned more about it, I became Hexkin and bought Hex and like everybody else. And then eventually Pulsechain was announced and jumped in on that and sacrificed like everybody else, and just Pulse in the whole thing as we are today. So, and in that journey, I met Stu, Tetra's founder, and early on when Tetra wasn't even Tetra, but it was something else, and just he and I clicked. We both have a similar educational background, and I guess how we think about things. We're very like-minded. So we had a really good relationship that budded, and over time, I started developing strategies and stuff, and that's kind of how I became part of the Tetra team.
Yeah, gotcha. So what year do you reckon you got into crypto?
I think it was 2020. I think it's what year it was. Maybe it's 2021. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, for me it was. I'm trying to think. It's always you know what it's like when you're sitting through bear markets. Time just it goes all over the place, doesn't it? When you try and look back but for me, I remember when I first kind of really paying attention to Bitcoin when it was crazy, and all these random YouTubers. I remember I used to watch skateboarding videos, and even the skateboarders were talking about Bitcoin because it was going up to 17,000 or something. And I remember not really knowing about markets, but I remember thinking, okay, this thing's overbought, So I remember kind of sitting tight, and then it kind of had its first sell-off and went to about 3K, and that's when I kind of got in. But at the time, I didn't really understand the market cycles, So I kind of, I bought in at the start of a bear market, and I didn't have the patience to see it through. Perhaps if I had the patience to understand how these things work, then perhaps I would have done a lot better. But I think for me, it's like obviously I sold most of my Bitcoin at the time, so I was a Bitcoin maxi, and then but I made some profits, and then after we had that bull run, I'm now kind of, I guess this is my second bear market, and I kind of understand it a bit better. That's when I found out about Richard Hart. So Richard Hart, for me, same as you, he was saying things that other people weren't saying, and he kind of made me aware of what DeFi really is. And for me, DeFi is, we always say, my statistics may not be exactly correct, but I think there's 3% of the world's population that are actually in crypto right now. And only 3% of all those people in crypto are probably actually in DeFi. And, of those in DeFi, I think obviously Pulsechain and the Hex community are at the forefront. They're the largest DeFi community, I would argue. But obviously, with Pulsechain coming out, that was something that many of us sacrificed for. Some people are disappointed because obviously the price of Pulse is down. I understand the frustration in that, but I also like to say, what if you didn't sacrifice for that, and what if you were kind of just being a degen and buying all sorts of crap, during that, you may have been just as far down. Some of you may not have been, but okay, we are where we are now. I think Pulsechain's still got a lot of traffic. If we look at the history of these kind of L1s, typically they do very well, and I think people need to kind of have patience at this point. I was watching, I don't really watch Sammy, but I saw, your friend Sammy, I saw a little kind of a post he made on Twitter. A very short post, but I thought it was quite good. He was talking about, the next upcoming bull market, and he said there's two options. We could either have this Bitcoin halving in the start of next year, and we could have a short bull run for 2024. Or we could have a sideways year in 2024, and then perhaps enjoy a potential bull market in 2025, 2026. And I think I'd rather have it that way. What's your opinion on that?
I guess this would be a function of the world markets at large, because we got election year coming up here in the United States here. So. And
that's what is that? Is that this year
next
or next
year?
Year?
It's next year.
That's next year, next November, right?
Yeah. So probably what you'll probably see is our Fed will start cutting interest rates next year at their meetings, and then that's going to spur probably some economic investment in the public sector by the people who have the money who want to invest, which will then in turn help the stock market, which in turn help Bitcoin. You'll see a pump going up of whatever level based upon the economies. So, but how far that takes us as far as bull run's concerned, that's hard one to figure, because market cycles are great. We can see them; they've been pretty predictable. But the problem is we are moving in a rate of global economy now, not necessarily just single regions or single countries. So we're so interdependent financially across the world. When China sneezes, we catch a cold,
Yeah.
Or like a couple years ago when Greece had trouble with their finances, the whole world went crazy. I mean, like, really? Greece? Yeah. That's going to affect the entire world economy and mess up our global costs. I have a hard time believing that, but it's true. It's what happened, because the world economy reacts to things such as that. So it's just it's hard to predict when and how the bull market will come into play. So we're just going to have to be nimble enough to react accordingly, and hopefully, especially with tools like Tetra, be able to take advantage of these opportunities through automation.
Yeah. Before we go into Tetra, I think you're right. I think we still crypto. When crypto first started, everyone loved the idea that it would act like gold. It would be a hedge against the. It'd be a way to kind of offset your risk when the rest of the market goes down. The idea that Bitcoin would go up, but also we know it's too heavily tied to the US dollar, and everything else is tied to Bitcoin. So we're not at that stage yet. We are still tied to the general market, aren't we?
Exactly.
Welcome, Real Estate Pusher. Good to see you, man. Welcome, Red Squirrel, Alex Lehman. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. So I guess first of all, it's like, I think we should point out that crypto is a get rich slow, not a get rich quick thing. Would you agree with that, Neil?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Rich is right when he says, long-term holders and founders are the people who make the most in crypto, and it's true. I mean, if you hold long time, I mean, look for this. What's that token that's out? It's called Teddy Bear or something like that.
Oh right, that's all over the
all
place
of a
at the
sudden,
moment.
it shot up. If you'd have bought it and just held it, you'd be really well off right now. So, but if you bought it and sold within the first week or two, you got the, let's say a 10-20% gain, you'd be kicking yourself right now. So, long time mindedness is something that's necessary in the crypto markets because we must live through the cycles.
Yeah, I think obviously this is not financial advice. This is just me giving my opinion about my experience and you giving your opinion about your experience. But I think everyone has their own strategy. Some people out there are very good traders, and they want to literally they want to sit in front of their computer all day, look at technical analysis, and they want to jump into one token, they want to jump into another token. And fair enough, if that works for you and you've got the time to dedicate to that and you want to deal with the stress, then fine. But I think even if some of us, I think especially in our community, we like to look for a product with good product market fit. We like to look. So with us, we kind of we have the DeFi Bitcoin and we have the idea of software mining with the ASIC mining token. So for us, that's quite revolutionary. For you, with Tetra. That's the reason I support Tetra. Just let me just be clear to everyone. My affiliation with Tetra, I literally put in $100 into the sacrifice. I was pretty broke at the time, so that is my affiliation with Tetra. Tetra are not paying me any money, and I'm not paying them any money to come on here. This is just a conversation between two protocols that kind of that support each other. So on that, should we start with what Tetra is, and I'll try and share my screen here.
Sure. What Tetra is a software as a service. We have a token and all, but it has no relation to the functionality of the product. That software is an automation tool and allows you to automate anything you can manually do in the blockchain. And we will have a front end called Atlas, which is where you interact and utilize strategies built with the Stratus protocol in Tetra. And at first, what we'll do is we'll have some like ready-made strategies for like limit orders, swing trading, maybe some farm management, stuff like that for people to utilize. And then once we're ready, we'll deploy Stratus to the general public, and people can customize and make their own strategies utilizing any protocol on the blockchain.
So Stratus here that's your drag and drop kind of front end.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the tool that builds a strategy. And where Atlas is where you deploy the strategy on the blockchain, and you can also test the strategies in without being on the blockchain, but through different stress tests and time, and you can manipulate the monetary actions just to see how your strategy would deploy based upon market conditions. So these are things so we don't want people to get wrecked or do dumb things. But at the end of the day, though, it's really just a toolbox, and so. We're not going to be able to, gatekeep or for like scam tokens and like that. And we will do our best to minimize it, but people are still responsible for their own actions. And just like if you do manually, if you're clicking on or dealing with a protocol that's going to have a rug, that's on you,
Yeah.
So, but we're not going to promote anything because we are basically a protocol agnostic software service.
Yeah. So I'll tell the audience my basic understanding of Tetra, and I've been on. There is a stream where you can actually see this, an early beta version actually. Who did you stream with? Was it My Life Is Awesome, wasn't it? I think. And
yes.
I think it was Red Squirrel was on there, and you guys actually showed an early version of how it actually works. And it's literally like a drag and drop box. So you could literally, let's start really basic. I remember one of our problems we have in our community, and I see it all the time. With our community, we have ASIC mining tokens, and we put them in a stake for 30 days, and then after that, you have up to 30 days to end your miner and claim your reward. But you know what it's like. Life gets in the way. We even have one person that went to jail, one person that spent a long time on business and didn't get back to their computer and they couldn't end their miners. So just from a real basic level, what Tetra could do for you is you could, and you wouldn't even have to really set this up yourself. You could literally, as it says on the website here, there can be like, you can literally, someone else can create the strategy and you can literally just use that template. Mm-hmm. So for instance, what you might be able to do with it is just literally get it to automatically, when that 30 days is up, is to end your miner, as long as obviously you've got enough ETH or PLS in your Tetra wallet, it'll be able to automate that for you. So you might say, okay, end my miner after day 30, and you might say, you know, take the yield, put it in my wallet, and then use the remaining ASIC to start a new miner. Or you might decide to tell it a function where you tell it to use your yield to buy Hex, to buy Hedron, or you might use it to buy more ASIC. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, it could. That's a very simple automated thing. So anything that has a stake length can be automated to end and then redeploy that capital as the customer wants to use it. You know, whether it's holding it, you know, reinvesting it, auto compounding, all those things are very simple processes. So that's something that like every hexagon would want to use Tetra because they can then all their hex stakes are then managed for them. So they always mint their Hedron. They never forget. They get their hex out when it's on time. And if the gas is crazy, they can just go to count it. Or the
that's
price
another
is
thing.
going
That's
against
another
them.
thing, right? If the gas is too high, you can also set. Like for instance, let's say you're operating, and the gas is too high. You can also make settings. So you can say only end my miner when gas is at a certain area. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So because of the way Tetra is going to be able to manage, you know, because of our stuff, things like gas costs and then market conditions can be programmed into the strategies. So the like if-then statements, you know, will be able to be done to allow you to move within the range and the risk level you're choosing, you know, for whatever you're trying to do.
So let's say, so obviously, you know, that section is not out yet. Do we have an ETA of when the actual what do we call it, the Stratus?
Yeah, so Stratus will be out a little bit later. We're purposely going to hold off on just dumping it out there all at once. And there's some reasons for that. But we're going to get Atlas out there first, let people get used to using it, and then we may do the Stratus open up certain features and then let it be full bore. Because I mean, you got to realize it's a toolbox, and we don't want to dump an automation tool on the market all at once. Yeah. It'll confuse people. People will break themselves. We want to try to educate people. I'll be doing videos on how-tos, on tutorials of how to operate and build with Stratus.
That's going to be on your personal YouTube page, which is you just search Neil4TShares. If anyone can put that in the chat for me, that'd be amazing.
But yeah, I'll be doing that here. In fact, here shortly, probably next 2 weeks or so, I should be able to get a copy of the beta version of it, and I'll start doing tutorials, just kind of show people what's coming up, so they get an idea in their head how things work. And then once we're out, we'll be out. So we're trying to make it good for the community.
This is something which I think, you know, obviously with DeFi, we love the fact that we don't have to use middlemen and things like that, right? Hex, you don't have to use a middleman. Hedron, you don't have to use a middleman. Pulsebitcoin, you don't have to have a middleman. And I think, but one of the problems is it does rely on kind of you having to kind of manually do a lot of stuff. So I think this is going to be great for kind of just taking out, you know, getting some of the kind of auto run functions going on. Even though we're in DeFi, this is almost like it's like bringing in bots for the average user, right?
Yeah, I mean, we hate to use the word bots, but yeah, right. We're automating the services and the actions on the blockchain. But it's beyond bots, because bots are limited. They usually only do a couple functions, you know, within a certain set of parameters. They don't have the capability to be dynamic and react to market conditions, you know, like we were able to design. So it's way beyond that. And also it allows the average user to compete, because no longer you have to be worried about being front run, because when your threshold is met in whatever, you know, you're trying to do with price action or whatever, automatically deploys. So just like a bot's looking at certain parameters, so is Tetra, and it'll deploy at the speed of technology.
So, so you're obviously when I put up the chart, you're obviously you can actually buy Tetra. It's called Tetra AP, correct?
Just Tetra P.
Oh, Tetra P. Sorry, I see that. Yeah, Tetra P. P for Pulsechain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, you're only available on the Pulsechain. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And we can see here, you launched around 29th of June. I know that might be incorrect. I know the screen can be a bit.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, you're kind of going sideways. So you've got a nice bottom here. So, if anyone that's interested, it's not a bad buy area. Obviously not financial advice. But one thing I was really kind of impressed by was the liquidity. You've got 170k of the liquidity there.
Yep. I mean, we have a lot of diamond-handed people. We opened up staking about a month or so ago for the Tetra token, and all that did was allow you to get more Tetra tokens. That's all it was for. It was something that we had tokens that were designed to be distributed, but because how things worked out with Pulsechain and its launch and all, we just ended up doing it this way and allow people to stake their Tetra for more Tetra.
Yeah. So let's talk about the supply of Tetra. Is there can you talk about the tokenomics of Tetra, the token, and how that works?
Well, the token is about 12.5 billion tokens in existence. It's not deflationary or inflationary. It's a static supply.
Right.
And then 30% of it is owned by the protocol. 20% went to the founders of a private seed round investment, and the rest of it is then in general for the general public to consume through liquidity pools and stuff. As part of that supply is in the staking. So whatever percentage of it is going to be rewards for people who staked, and then the rest will be in liquidity eventually.
So at the moment, you have those staking pools where people can. So if you own Tetra now, obviously you haven't got the functionality yet, but what you can do in the meantime is you can stake it for more Tetra. Is that correct?
Correct. If there's a pool open, but they did not last very long.
How long are those pools for?
Well, they were like a 30 or 60-day pool, but someone closed as soon as 8 minutes. They filled up. They were capped. Each pool was capped at a certain amount of Tetra to fit in each pool.
So this is, you're saying, and to pay for this yield, this is not inflationary. This is not inflating Tetra. Is that what you're saying?
No. It's set aside tokens of the overall supply that was already designed to be given out in some kind of staking function. We just didn't. We did a different way because of how the everything was unfolding in Pulsechain. So we just made the decision to do it this way. What
do you mean by that? Where everything's unfolding with Pulsechain, if you don't mind me asking?
Because when Pulsechain launched, we were on Ethereum first.
Yeah, so I remember that.
We made the decision to move everything to Pulsechain since it went ahead and launched, because nobody knew it was going to launch then. So we were working on Tetra, and we could have launched it on Ethereum if we wanted to, had Pulsechain postponed another 6 months to a year.
Right.
So we had to make a decision. So once it actually deployed, it was like, okay, well, if it's going to launch, then we'll go to Pulsechain. So then we migrated over, and so therefore our plans for staking and all these things, they just changed because we were following and reacting to what Pulsechain was doing. So that's all. It's just trying to get everything up and ready to run on Pulsechain first.
Cool. Yeah, sounds interesting. Let me just quickly check. Let me go turn off the screen share. Sorry guys, I've only got one screen at the moment, so you might see a bit of feedback here when I end this. Let's quickly see. Sorry, Matt. I saw your comment about turning my volume up. I do apologise. My volume is slightly low. Is there any questions in the chat before we move on? Any update on Mr. Wolverine? So Wolverine was Wolverine was one of our he's probably our biggest whale up to a few months ago in the Pulse Bitcoin ecosystem. He decided to move on to other projects, and he may have a few wallets that still participate, but he's generally out, and some of his friends are out. Obviously, there's a free market. That's why we had quite a large sell-off, 95% sell-off, and now we've seen we're kind of stabilizing and moving forward. This is still early. We only had a halving zero complete, so yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Crypto Jake. Flip to price on PLS. Greetings from Netherlands, Fat Sammy, true believer in our PLSB ASIC ecosystem. Much love. Yeah, thank you to you, Cass. Good to see you. We just had a recent meetup in London. So we've got some pictures here. That's everyone there. It's our second meetup in London. Some great guys there. We actually got some interviews we could play. But what was interesting is we had a lot of people that were new to crypto. Well, new to DeFi, let's say. I think everyone had dabbled in crypto before. But yeah, it was interesting to meet some people. You know, we had a whole, I'd say half the people were new people from the last meetup. I should be going out to LA very soon. So for anyone that's kind of in the LA area, hopefully I'll try and see you. It should be the first week of October, but that's kind of up in the air at the moment. Welcome, Roger Thompson. So should we have a quick look? One thing is, should we have a quick look at the charts, and then we'll move on to having a quick look at some example strategies that Neil kind of made and some of his group made. Should we do that? If I call you, Neil?
Sounds good.
Okay. Right, so where are we? Okay. Some quick stats. So on the Ethereum side, for the latest update, we are 8 months away from our next halving. We're currently almost at 30% mining on the Ethereum side for halving 1. So currently we have a 1.56 million PLSB mined in this halving, which I think will be total of quarter supply in this halving. So currently we're getting 3.75%. If we switch to the Pulsechain side, we're actually ahead. Look at that. Yeah, wow. So there's a premium. So it looks like a lot of our buyers are preferring Pulsechain at the moment. That's probably because we've got a lot of onboards using smaller amounts, and they do prefer the cheaper gas fees on the Pulsechain side. So we're actually ahead there. So it looks like only 7 months till the next halving on the Pulsechain side. Let's switch back to Ethereum. And it looks like we've got 92.47k PLSB burned so far on the Ethereum side. Let's switch that to Pulsechain side. A little bit higher, 158.8k. Now, bear in mind, at the moment, most of the burning is actually coming from people who are forgetting to end their miners, as far as I understand. Obviously, we have Khan.app, which is a third-party protocol, and with the PLSD staking mechanism, with the Hex, with the ASIC mining, community miner, with all this kind of stuff in the background going on, as that starts to progress over the the next few months, that's going to start to burn ASIC and PLSB at a very high rate. So yeah, so look, we've got almost 400,000 ASIC burnt on the Pulsechain side. On the Ethereum side, not bad, similar. ATMs are obviously the supply of new ASIC coming out. You know, that's kind of limited right now. We might see some unlock at the start of the next halving. Yeah, so that's kind of the update there. Let's have a quick look at the Hex price. This is Hex on Ethereum. Looks like we're still in that kind of downward channel. Looks like we may have a local kind of double bottom here, which is impressive. So since last time we streamed 3 weeks ago, Hex is roughly up around 16%. Since last time we streamed, ASIC on Ethereum is up around 11%. Since 3 weeks ago when we streamed with Pulsebitcoin, we're up around 27%. Oh, it looks like we've had a little recent pump there. Wow, 43%. Someone's been buying some today. Okay. And the PLSD, we've actually had a little bit of a sell-off there. We've had around, so we're down about 12.5% there, 12.9% on PLSD. Let's look at the general market. Bitcoin, Bitcoin's kind of looks like it might be trying to make some sort of double bottom here. Let's see what happens. You know, I said earlier, I'm really not concerned. Obviously, this represents the halving coming up. I think that's a bit early actually. In March, is it March, Neil? The Bitcoin halving? I can't remember now.
I'm not quite sure.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I just don't know top of my head.
Somewhere around there, but as you can see, every time we have a halving, sometimes you see a bit of a sell-off after, you know, an adjustment, but then you kind of tend to go up. So let's see what happens up till there. You know, usually around Christmas time, it's usually pretty good for crypto, but let's see what happens there. As we said before, 2024 may be a sideways year. I'm very happy for Bitcoin to range between, let's say, 40,000, and even 20,000. I'm very happy for that to happen. I think we'll probably range between 40 and 30,000. But as I say, it depends on many other factors. Obviously, Bitcoin dominance is going to play a huge role coming up. So I think for tokens like Pulsechain, for ERC20s like Hex and PLS, PRC20s, I think what you want to see is in a bull run, you want to see a Bitcoin do well, have a strong price. But then what you want to see is Bitcoin dominance start to ease off. And when we see Bitcoin dominance lowering, and Bitcoin price staying the same, that's when we see people start to take profits and inject them into projects like Pulsechain, projects like Ethereum. Yeah, and obviously everything's still dependent on things like the Dow Jones, things like that. So Dow Jones there looking like it's still on an uptrend. Looking fine by me. Ethereum pretty much doing what Bitcoin's doing. The Nasdaq's still on its uptrend. Nothing too concerning there. Let's see if we can take out the previous all-time highs at 16,800. But as we all know, black swan events can come in, and the big one is going to be the total market cap. This is how much money is actually in crypto at any one time. And what's interesting is, I really think this is the thing that's going to really excite people. I think every time we have a halving period, we see the market cap triple or quadruple, and I'm really excited about where we could go with the total market cap. As I say, if we have the total market cap going up and up and up, reaching all-time highs, seeing that, if we said that in the last bull run we might have had maybe 6% of the population. I'm pulling numbers out my arse here. Maybe we might get 8% of the population, 9% of the population, but then those people might start to diversify into DeFi projects. I really think DeFi could be the next meme of this next run. Well, what's your opinion about that, Neil? Obviously we get different memes. I think in the last run we had some of those kind of gaming tokens do quite well, didn't we?
Yeah.
Things like that.
I think just DeFi itself, at least for us, it's going to be the game changer for for a value proposition with crypto. And we're looking to it, like Pulsechain right now is really, other than the PH ecosystem, it's kind of barren, right? There's nothing else on there. We're still waiting for Liquid Loans, Power City, and like Win-Win, all these other projects. So there's not a whole lot you can do on it right now. So, I mean, I'm glad Buck come up with his stuff and has, Fiat and Famous and PHUX and stuff. That's great. I'm so super excited and stoked. I can't wait to take Tetra and automate stuff on it, personally. So I'm excited with that. But we still want Liquid Loans and Power City because there's a lot of economic value there. And when people have something they can do with their assets like Pulse and PulseX, not just stick them in LP pools, they can actually make some money off their assets. And I think that's the next stage. And once we have those tools available, then we'll start seeing higher economic activity. We'll probably see the price impact go up some, however much is on usage, obviously. Hopefully our community will grow, and people who are outside of Pulsechain at the moment will come to Pulsechain to utilize these DeFi products that have been proven on Ethereum, but in a cheaper and faster way. And so we're hoping to help automate all these processes and utilize all these things and really help everyone, grow their bags and really with very good and safe means automate this process and not to worry about getting wrecked and try to play day trade and all these things, because we can set up limit orders and stop losses and swing trading and stuff if that's what you're into, or you can just automate your DeFi plans and strategies.
That's something someone just asked in the comments there. They said, what are both your favorite things you're looking forward to from Tetra? I think for me that's one thing that's really cool. It's just the idea to be able to have limit orders. I think that's gonna be really cool. But it's like you can set up. So I'm interested in buying. You might have a busy day job. You might be going traveling for a month, but that you have your wage coming in, and then you can use Tetra to, let's say you have some tokens sitting on the side in your Tetra strategy wallet. You can say, buy me some Hex at this price, buy me some PLS at this price. But then once PLS gets to this price, sell it for me. just simple stuff like that. Just automating your buy and sell orders. That's powerful.
Well, it also allows people to accumulate without having to be, always always there in front of the computer watching a chart. So we're basically giving your time back once you set it up. And now that Coast is up and running, you can even set up to go straight to Coast and deposit in your account.
Yeah.
So you can have automatic exiting through Tetra.
So let's talk about this. You call it the Tetra strategy wallet. Is that correct?
Correct.
So let's say, is that going to be a DApp, or is that going to be almost like a extension wallet? How's that going to work?
It's an integrated wallet. That's all in Tetra.
Right.
So it's just like MetaMask. You have your own keys to it and everything else, except that it'll just do things for you without having to manually do the permissions every time.
And you're going to pay. So let's say I'm a user. I seem to remember I don't have to own Tetra to operate with Tetra. Is that correct?
Correct. The Tetra token has nothing to do with the protocol. It's literally like owning shares of a company. That's all it's for. It has no utility other than it receives the fees from the protocol. That's all it does.
Right. So if I own Tetra, if I'm staking it, is that the way I'm going to earn fees, or?
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. And what are I know this is obviously not finalized, but do you know what the fees will be at the moment?
Well, right now the fees are 0.5%, or 50 cents every $100.
Right. And what percentage will go to the people staking their Tetra?
100% of that.
Oh, 100% of that. I see.
Yeah, all the fees are going to the Tetra stakers.
Okay. Makes sense.
Protocol owns 30% of the Tetra tokens, so that's where it gets its money for
Right.
R&D and servers and all that good stuff.
Makes sense.
So that's how we did it. So like I said, the rest of it is owned by like I said, the founders as well as the general public. So, but you don't need to have it to use it. But what you do is
I like that.
You once you figure out whatever your strategy is, what you do is you go in, you make sure you have enough gas and your Tetra fees, and it'll tell you what you need to deploy it before you do that. And the Tetra fees are paid in stable coins, and therefore the yield is paid in stable coins to Tetra stakers. So it's not like it's a speculative instrument or anything. It's straight up stable to stable, and that's how we're doing it. It's a true yield system versus speculative yield, like most other things are, because we didn't want to pay out in another token. We want the true yield to go in, true value to go in, and true value to come out. So you don't have to worry about market conditions. So it's all when Tetra runs and does its thing. The fees it pays out are just straight dollar coins.
I see we've got Red Squirrel in the chat. I understand he's an amazing strategizer.
Me and Red have been working in the background pretty hard the last couple of weeks.
And Red, just to answer your question, I know we're kind of going over the basics here. This is kind of a very basic introduction to Tetra. And obviously you're welcome if you guys want to come back and kind of go a little bit deeper on some strategies. We're happy to do that. But let's take a look at a couple of basic strategies. Let's have a look at. I know you wrote this one a long time, Neil, but this is a PLSB strategy, and obviously this one doesn't take into account the third-party Khan protocol that is operational, which a lot of people are interacting with. But do you want to kind of talk us through this one? This one is a way that let's say if you're not in the ecosystem and you want to participate. You're introducing HSI and Hedron. Do you want to talk us through this one, Neil? Just an example of how this works.
So the concept was that this obviously is pre-Karn, so this is before Karn was a thing.
Yeah.
That if you were, you could set up your miners to purchase your Pulse Bitcoin to then purchase the Hedron to then yield ICOSA, right, and then buy more miners. So it's a basic loop, and then you add hex to it to generate hex to do the same thing. So basically, I was using the yield from miners in Pulse Bitcoin to basically fund a Hedron, hex, and ICOSA loop, and then go back and do it again, and then take profits as you see fit. So that was the concept here in this strategy. I was trying to come up with ways to automate things. So you can still do it, I'm sure, if once everything's launched. It's just that we're with Carnival, maybe it's unnecessary because there's other ways to earn yield with Pulse Bitcoin. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I disconnected my mic there. That was the problem. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to give feedback while you were talking. So this is another strategy. This one came out about 5 months ago. And I remember when Neil actually, he made a video about this, about 5 minutes long. He's just, you know, on his channel, he goes through a few different kind of Pulsechain protocols and just kind of has fun with it and just tries to kind of show different communities how they could utilize Tetra. So this one's an interesting one, and I actually commented on his video and I said I can't see this working on the Ethereum side because we were only on Ethereum at the time, but this sort of strategy works better. Now we're on the Pulsechain with cheaper fees. Do you want to explain this one, Neil?
Yeah. So I was trying to come up with a way to basically boost people's Pulse Bitcoin, yield, basically. And so the concept was, well, because you have 30-day cycles with how everything functions. I was trying to set up to where each day of the month you would have ultimately a stake ending, and you can automate this to where and it obviously takes some time. This is a long-term strategy build up, but to where ultimately you have every day of the month Pulse Bitcoin coming out of these mining stakes, and then either recycled by more miners or whatever you wanted to do with it. But to try to always auto compound this to where once you had this, you could, I guess, theoretically have every day of the year have a stake ending. That was a concept here I was trying to come up with. So you eventually just have constant Pulse Bitcoin coming out into your wallets, and then you can sell it, do what you want with it, reinvest it, or just hold it. If you really wanted to accumulate, even with the halvings, just wherever you could. So this was something I just basically set up a mining farm for Pulse Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think now we're kind of introducing Tetra to our community. I think our own community can now kind of start coming up with their own ideas, right?
Yes, and we encourage it. We really want y'all to, especially with Carnival and stuff now, you have the options to really come up with some unique strategies, things that really push the boundaries. We're even offering ways to, and we'll help y'all design some stuff too. If y'all really, on the background, come up with strategies, maybe ways to even earn yield with your tokens without using your own system. I mean, we're coming up with ideas to staking we could stake your Pulse Bitcoin for yield outside of the Carnival system, and those are options.
We chatted about this in the green room, didn't we? Let's touch on that. Obviously, I discussed with you and your team before how in the first halving zero, a lot of people were just using Pulse Bitcoin as a dump token, and we were kind of really happy when Khan came along because it kind of obviously people were earning a terrific amount of yield up front. They were earning 7.5%, and a lot of people were using that just to sell and do whatever they wanted with. We're seeing the sell pressure die off now, and thanks to Khan, we've now got 27% of the supply locked up now, and people are earning Khan and Hex. But I think we don't want to rely on just one protocol, and I think you suggested a good idea there. You said, well, Tetra could allow another way for people to earn yield on their Pulse Bitcoin. Do you want to just talk about that?
Yeah, if y'all come up with a strategy that allowed people to stake their Pulse Bitcoin and gave them yield through a strategy mechanism using whatever's out there, maybe liquid loans, Power City, who knows, right? That way, any yield earned through the strategy can go back to the Pulse Bitcoin holders in the form of whatever yield it may be. It can be stable coins if y'all just do the swap form, you see. These are options y'all could come and create in utilizing the DeFi protocols and the tools available on the blockchain. And that's where the power of Tetra will come in, because no longer will protocols be limited. Well, you don't even have to know coding to utilize Tetra because it's drag and drop. So we'll have in the future ways for developers to access these the tools on Tetra to build without coding knowledge. That's kind of what we're the eventual will happen. But in the meantime, though, just developing strategy and stuff, y'all can do stuff on your own and have Pulse Bitcoin or any other tokens, even your ASIC miners or whatever, to stake them and do things with them. and your ASIC miners have got some pretty deep functions because how it works, you could utilize that miner through Tetra and program it to give yield of other sorts too. You know, of what because basically how it works. So these are options that we really haven't scratched the surface yet of really with the possibilities with the stuff that y'all have and built, as well as what's going to be out there in the DeFi space.
Yeah, and let's go to a basic strategy, the hex strategy. This is not done by you. This is done by who was it that did this one? Was it, I can't remember his name now. Sloth Crypto did this one. So do you want to talk us through a really basic one? This is a short-term hex loop stake. Do you want to give us a quick talk through this one?
Sure. I'm waiting for it to come on screen here. There it is. Okay. So, all right. So he's got this one here is, he's just basically has a rolling stake that is taking this interest and redeploying it into like Maximus when it's, at the right value percentage based upon the hex, and then the rest of it profits. And so then the 80% though is going to another sub strategy. So maybe he's doing a liquid loans or Power City or a Pulse Bitcoin strategy with some of his interest to generate more yield. You see, so this is ways to auto compound yield through a basic hex stake. And so y'all kind of doing some of this yourselves because you're taking your rolling hex stake and use it for buy and burn and other functions within Carnival. So it's a similar concept, but instead this one just takes the interest and does something else with it. And that's kind of the important part. So in DeFi, if you really think about a good design, how you want to design good DeFi protocols and projects that don't have like a dump token, which is the hardest thing to do because it's the weakest link in all design things. You want to close the loop somehow. And if you close the loop by not delivering a dump token to people, well, then maybe you solve that problem. And so in your case, y'all have chosen Hex as a means to help with generate yield, to help with lockups. I think you'll have the lottery and everything else with Carnival. And there's other tools you can add to it. So this particular strategy kind of is part of that, shows you an option that would exist by taking yield from Hex or yield from any other strategy. I mean, what if you did a liquid loan strategy and took that yield and used it, to buy, Pulse Bitcoin and burn it or whatever. So those are all options that are on the table utilizing Tetra.
Yeah, I think this is what really exciting about DeFi is, and the fun thing about our protocol is that literally, anyone come along, design anything. And I've just seen some comments here. I've just seen Gifted. He just said Tetra strategies can bring PLSD staking to a whole new level, since PLSD stakers can earn PLSD, PLSB, Hex, and ASIC. That's correct. So, yeah, I mean, this thing is like a piece of string. And obviously some devs in our community, they might decide to build a strategy and share it, or they might decide to build a DApp or whatever it might be. But yeah, so the options are kind of endless here.
Correct.
But, yeah, so you might, some of this stuff, you might have, let's say you've got 25% of your Pulse Bitcoin locked up, and you're earning, around 400 hex a day. You might decide that every 100 days you want to scrape your hex, and then you might want to put it in, automate it, so every 100 days it scrapes some hex and puts it into a 555 or whatever staking length you want, and then you can get it to automate to take your hedron before that stake ends, and then you might decide to then put some of that hedron into an ICOSA, whatever. The options are endless. And I think someone else in the chat said, I think Steven said, maybe Tetra can have preset strategies. I think you guys are already onto that. Yeah.
We're going to do some preset strategies that we as the Tetra team are going to build on for just like most of it's going to be like limit orders and stuff. But then we'll, like me and Red and Sloth and a few others, will have stuff made for like the major protocols like Liquid Loans, Power City, y'all, whatever. If y'all want us to, we'll just build them. And they'll just basically function like this will be like an auto compounding strategy for Pulse and with your ASIC miners and stuff, right? And then if people want to take that, then they can link that to Carnival and do what they want themselves with their own strategy. You see, so they can take our strategy as a block, and then make their own strategy and link them So now you have an auto compounding or whatever strategy or auto mining strategy, then links to Carnival, and you do what you want within. You go wherever you want in Carnival, then come out maybe back, maybe have a loop, and take profits in the middle somewhere. Those are all options with Tetra. But for y'all's case though, which since you're really wanting a store value narrative, you got to have a way to lock up as much Pulse Bitcoin as you can, but still yet people have yield and get something, for their value they're locking up. And that's the design challenge that y'all have as a community and as a protocol. And Tetra can help by linking other things and other means to facilitate that yield for those who lock up their Pulse Bitcoin in whatever form it may lock it up.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I love. It's almost down to the community. So I would love for any of you, Tetra has its own Discord. I'm not sure if Red Squirrel or anyone else that's on your team who's in the chat maybe can share the official Telegram for Tetra. If someone can do that, that'd be great. If not,
yeah, we have the Tetra. We have the Tetra official, and then we have a strategy community also.
Yeah.
Which people come and ask me and Red Sloth. We all have our own little sub rooms about, hey, what about this? What can we do? We'll help them out making different strategies and stuff, or how to think through some stuff. Because we, like I said, we're protocol agnostic, so we really don't care as long as it's not a rug pull. We'll talk about it and offer suggestions just to make things better. I think once we're out here and we're up and running, and people have the capability to customize their own stuff, I think you'll see a lot of innovation, because we can only think of so much. We're just a couple of guys, but the more and more people that come out, I think they're gonna discover things and have some really neat stuff in the future that we'll all be able to benefit from if they publish it.
Cool. Yeah, I've just shared the official Tetra group in the main chat, and then you've also got the strategy group there. Yeah, no worries, Red Squirrel. I've just posted that. So you guys can check out there. You can go and say hello to Neil and Red Squirrel, to Stu, and all the other members. There's a lot of admins over there and a lot of community members that you might recognise from our ecosystem. So go and say hi there, and share some ideas with them. Is there anything else, Neil, or should we? We've just done an hour. It was great to have you, man.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts you want to talk about?
So, where we're all right now, as far as development, I think we're 75% done with the our DEX aggregator, and then getting it loaded up on the UI on the Atlas, and then we have our nodes syncing as we speak. So hopefully, and the only thing we'll lack is the audit after it's built. So probably another week and a half or so, we'll be ready for the audit. And then after that, we'll be able to launch. I can't tell you exactly when, because the audit's out of our control, but that's where we are as far as Tetra. So we're getting close. We were, like I said, we were supposed to launch on August 31st, but with that OKX debacle, it messed everything up. So it pushed us, and we had to, kind of reconvene and talk about how we were going to solve the problem. So we did. So yeah, but we want to make sure that everything we're doing is on the up and up, and it's all going to work like it's supposed to on the chain. It's just software's hard. It's true. It's hard, and not just us. Every protocol is having the same issue, because we're all using the same nodes and stuff at first. So we're all having to learn. Hey, we need to be more decentralized, which is good. We want to be decentralized. In fact, Tetra's goal ultimately is to decentralize DeFi. That's our goal, and so we will have other means and methods to do so in the future as we develop. And we have big things planned. I mean, there's some stuff coming down once we get past the Stratus deployment. Then we'll be offering more and more things coming on. So it's going to be neat. You're going to see a lot of innovation, and I really think the automation services offered are going to I think it's going to change Pulsechain personally, because we'll be unique as the only chain with fully automated potential at any other chain out there.
Yeah.
So until we go to other chains, Pulsechain will basically run on its own. So all these protocols, instead of waiting for people to be up and at their computer to make these trades, it's happening 24/7. So which protocol would not want 24/7 activity and volume through them? I don't know any.
100%. I'm really bullish about Tetra. not just because the original concept, but obviously I've spent a lot of time talking to Stu, your founder. From what I understand, he's actually an ex-architect, I believe, or something like that, right?
Yeah,
And
he's a licensed architect. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has history. Because I remember going into an early pitch with Stu and hearing his kind of presentation, and he used to build time-saving kind of similar programs for architects to use. So this is something not out of his wheelhouse. This is something he's done for a while, right? Kind of.
Yeah. He's the same problem-solving methods he's already deployed in the past. The language is changing, right? Different programs, but the concept's the same. So that's where he came up with Tetra and his ideas. So this is not new to him. He's just different languages he's had to code it out in. So yeah, he's really one of the ideal people for this, because I got a degree in architecture myself, and so we're taught in architecture how to problem solve, and that's really important in designing and coding things out, and especially in DeFi and stuff, because there's always a problem you got to solve for, and then with these strategies, you're trying to find solutions with a set number of variables, right? Or in this case, set number of tools. Now, how do you make things work? How do you maximize yield through X number of protocols? So at first, if we don't have much to work on, we're maybe limited. But as more things come out, the arsenal of tools gets bigger and bigger. Therefore, we can at least deploy more and more. Now our strategy will be more complex, more sophisticated, and more efficient. So then the APYs go up, stuff like that. And that's what we're looking forward over time. And you'll see probably an evolution of development as other protocols launch on Pulsechain. They'll offer other services and tools that we can utilize and the public can utilize. And you'll see strategies change and alter or be linked together and all kind of stuff. Your mic's off again.
Sorry. Yeah, this is exactly what we need. This automation thing, it's DeFi at the moment. It's very rough and raw, and it's got that barrier to entry. And I think as you say, as we start to get these other protocols come on, these loan protocols, more fiat on ramps, and then we start to get this automation. I think this is really going to kind of solve, limit orders, all those basic stuff. It's really going to solve a lot of the problems we have. So yeah, and what I love about it the most is anyone can build a strategy. This makes it a lot easier for everyone just to kind of mess around with the toolbox you guys have got. We could all mess around with different strategies, and then someone could have a great one, and then we could all give feedback on that, and then someone might decide they might get inspiration to build something else from that. It's a fantastic, I think, collective starting point for loads of protocols to really jump in and share some ideas. And find the holy grail of the closed loop.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, somebody asked a question in chat about the money again. Tetra does charge a fee for use. So it's 0.5% per amount of money moved per step in the strategy. That's how it's done. So that's part of the process, because it's automating your time for you. So every $100 you move, you pay 50 cents. Okay, that's how the math is easier for people to think about. So yeah, so that it does to charge that. So you wouldn't want to use Tetra just keep moving money around in circles for no reason. So if you're not earning yield per step, don't move it, right? So those are just, when we'll talk about that when we do our tutorials, how to design strategies not to waste money on fees for unnecessarily moving money unless you just need to. So those are types of things that we'll do, and that's how Tetra will earn its money, by providing these automation services to give you your time back. So your time is 50 cents worth your time. Turn your computer on, go do your thing, hit the button, click 2 or 3 buttons, and then hit authorizations. I mean, you take 5 minutes. Is it worth 50 cents to you? Maybe. You see, that's how you got to think about it.
Yeah.
But if you're a big guy, you got a lot of money. You may be a lot of money in fees per se. Say you run $1 million, that's a chunk of change. But at the same time, it's $1 million you don't have to fiddle with. It's automatically happening, and you're earning yield. So the idea is when you move from point A to point B in your strategy, you've already earned that 0.5% plus some. So it's net positive plus gas. So at every step should be a net positive move all the way out in the loop, or in the loop every step of the loop. That's how you do make money with Tetra. And the fees then become just in the background. You don't even think about them.
Another way to earn is to hold some tokens and earn some fees, right? If you like it.
Yeah, if you're interested, buy Tetra.
Yeah,
And
but
stake
you
it,
don't
you'll
have
earn
to
fees.
do that. You don't have to do that
Nope.
whatsoever. There's another question from, well, not a question, more of a statement from DeFi Nation. Would be great to see strategies that combine Hex, Hedron, Icosa staking with ASIC, PLSB mining, and the Carnival. Well, yeah, I mean this is what we're talking about. You know, I think this is great. Once that Stratus kind of comes live, you can literally drag and drop a protocol there. You can try out some different strategies, and you can kind of then show it to your friend. They can maybe tweak it and say, no, you've got some. This isn't efficient. And, you know, then we could share it around the whole community until it looks fucking great, and then then we roll it out as a strategy that we like. I'm really
not only
excited
that, the other thing that Tetra offers is dynamic movement. So let's say you have a strategy up high, it's doing one thing, and then the yield comes down. Well, the yield will go to the highest APY sub-strategy, right, after that. So you're always earning the most APY possible based upon market conditions at any given time. So now the strategies become dynamic. And so as the loop happens, you always pick the highest point.
Yeah,
so you always get at most you could possibly get on market conditions at any given moment. And you're not doing anything, it just does it for you. So that's another way you can design these strategies. So you got to think compartmentalize your thoughts of how you combine these things, because if you're doing ASIC mining and you get Pulse Bitcoin, you do some staking, using Carnival, using the lottery, or whatever you're doing, whatever you do with your yield, maybe it's better to go somewhere else, get some more yield, then go back in. You see, wherever it may be. Maybe it's Liquid Loans, Power City.
There could be a basic strategy in place, which everyone thinks is great, maybe one or two or three. But then let's say at the end, let's say you're harvesting some Pulse Bitcoin at a certain, you might say, if price goes to this, then you might have one strategy. But if price is at this, you might have a different strategy. And then it forks into, as I say, two different dynamic options from there. But at a basic level, is that what you're saying?
Yep, something like that. Yeah, it depends on where you always want your yield to go where it's treated best, right? That's all we're looking for. We all look for the best yield possible with our assets. So you just design it to always chase the highest yield with a sub strategy or one protocol, maybe a simple staking mechanism. Who knows? But that's how you would have to you do it. So like I said, there's been a lot of. I mean, it's an infinite amount of possibilities that Tetra's offering with this toolbox. That I would say that as time goes on, you'll see, like I said, the evolution develop as people think through this, and they'll realize real quick what is and isn't the better protocol. Maybe here's a good example: Liquid Loans and Power City both do the same thing with their protocols, right? Earn and Liquid Loan. Well, the yield from Earn and Loan token may be different at times. So where would you put your yield? The highest one. If it goes to the other side, then you may move it over. And you maybe see an arbitration opportunity between those two yield-bearing tokens. Maybe you're staking over here for a while, and you move it over here when this one goes up. So you always earn the most you can, and then that would then in turn trigger like the asset price as well as the stability in the system, liquidation events, all those things. So then now you're moving your money around and watching as the automatically moving it around as the market unfolds through these mechanisms. So you're going to see it's really going to change the dynamic of DeFi as we know it through this automation, and it's something none of us experience. So it's all going to be new, uncharted waters for us.
And let's say you've got a strategy. Let's say you've plugged in a basic strategy on your Tetra wallet, and let's say you've got something real basic running, and let's say you had one dynamic function there. Let's just say you had some automation of your ASIC miners, and let's just say you had two different dynamic options of what happens with your yield. Will there be a way where, let's say I was on holiday for a month and I come back, let's say I want to look at the history of what that template's done. Will there be kind of like a very clear visible history so I can see what my wallet has done? You look back, and would that be clear? Would that be like just like a list of numbers, or would that be kind of reflected?
It should be reflected in what is each part of the strategy at that time. After say 30 days, you go on holiday, you come back. All right, well, obviously I have more over here than here, so this one deployed more. I wonder why. Oh, well, this thing had higher yield than the other one.
Okay. So it won't necessarily show which route has been taken. But that's maybe something. In the
I don't
future.
know. I can't answer that. I hadn't really looked at that detail because
that's probably something a bit more advanced for the future. But
yeah, I mean, because you're giving it the option, and always choose the option based upon your parameters.
Yeah,
that's what's happening. So
yeah,
you can see by the result which one it took. You'll know by that, not necessarily how much. I mean,
so what I'm saying,
I'm sure
you can look at. One says, would the Tetra wallet have that history, or would I have to go to the blockchain?
I think you have to go to the blockchain because right now, if I understand, the wallet doesn't show that particular bit of information, but it could if I could add an addition, to the wallet upgrade over time. That's a possibility.
Okay.
So
let's
that's something to talk to Stu about.
I keep thinking we're done. I get so many questions here. This is good. We've got some 18 people in here now, so we're just getting warmed up. Let's read some questions quickly. So we've answered that. How does Tetra make money and disperse it again? Yeah, so it's free to use, but you don't have to. Sorry, it's not free to use, but you don't have to own Tetra. You basically just install a Tetra wallet. I think you put your tokens in there. Is that correct? And then any function where it's used, you're going to pay 50 cents on the on $100. Is that correct? 0.5%. So that's how that's paid for. Next question. Also, could utilize Pulsechain AP farming with Pulsebitcoin. Yep, these are just new ideas. This is another question. Can you turn off the You can turn the strategy off, right? It's not like an immutable contract. Yeah. You can pretty much just turn
it
that
can be
off.
both.
Right.
You can have a manual on off. You choose what you want to do with the strategy, or you can make your own strategy immutable. It's your choice. So let's say here, for example, what if we're working on this in the background, trying to have pooled strategies, right? Or a pooled function where we can pool our resources and do something with a large amount of money. Okay. Well, we want people to come in and out of the pool, no problem. But we all want to trust that we put our money to is immutable and we're not going to be ripped off. So part A, the pooling is not immutable. People come in and out. Part B, the strategy is immutable. Let's say we're doing some basic trading, swing trading, or whatever, whatever we're doing. So people can pool the money together and do something, and then trust that it will function as it's supposed to based upon the parameters. And then when it's over, it distributes the yield to the proportional ratio of people's participation. So you can make them immutable or manual as you see fit, and it's your choice within Tetra. So let's say you want to lock up tokens, you don't want to touch them, you make your strategy immutable, say for 6 months or a year. You're basically saving yourself from yourself. So you want to lock up Pulsebitcoin, boom, stick it in a strategy, it'll lock it up. You can't touch it for say a year or however long you want. So there you go. Mic's off.
Sorry, I keep doing that. I'm trying not to get feedback when you talk. Next question. Let's say I want to... sorry, he's saying, can we set up the strategy with any parameter? Like endless movements at the same time with as many protocols as I want?
If you can do it manually, you can do it automatically.
But you can have separate strategies, working at the same time using different tokens. Yeah, so I think you can have different strategies plugged into your wallet, but then if they conflict, obviously you need to make sure there's no conflictions. Like if you've got two different strategies trying to utilize, and you've only got a certain amount of gas fee or something like that.
Yeah, as long as you have the tokens and the gas needed for said strategies, it'll work. But you can have several strategy wallets, not just one. So you can have strategy wallet A for these tokens and B for this token. That way they kind of stay separate, and they can go back and forth with each other, no problem. It just go from wallet A to wallet B if you need to move yield around. That's no problem too. That's a little more advanced technique, but yeah.
Next question. Let's say I want to wait until Hex hits 50 cents. Yeah, we're all waiting for that.
Right.
And I want to sell 30% of my liquid bag into a stable coin, regardless of how long it takes to set and forget it. Well, yes, as long as you have that Tetra wallet. Yeah, of course. As long as you have the gas fee to make sure that Hex stake can end, and you've got that in your Tetra strategy wallet, then of course that will run forever. As long as Tetra's running, yeah, that command will be functional. I think that answered that question. Can Tetra strategy remain dormant until an event happens, such as Pulsebitcoin halving, and then triggers the strategy to start making moves? I'm not sure if you can. Well, would you be able to program in the halving?
Well, you'd have to. The halving is smart contract function, right?
Yeah.
And then yes, if it's a smart contract function, you just tell Tetra when this function occurs, do this thing. That's all you have to do. Because that's what you're doing. You're reading the functions of the smart contracts and then deploying them at whatever parameter.
Oh, that's an interesting question I didn't think to ask. That's a really good question. Someone asked, when using a hard wallet, how would the system authorize a transaction? That's a good question.
Because your hard wallet is just is a question asking, can you go to a hard wallet from Tetra, or can you use the hard wallet's funds?
Let's say you do all your transactions through your ledger. So obviously we know, or your Trezor. So we know, let's say if you want to end a miner, you have to go in there and put in your code. I guess what the question is, they're saying if they have something automated and they're doing it through their Trezor, is the answer to that no? Because you've got to put the what is the answer? Is it separate, the software kind of wallet for the Tetra strategy wallet?
The Tetra wallet basically takes you'll give the permission from the ledger to the Tetra wallet one time, and the Tetra wallet does everything for you. So that's how you do it. We have made it where it'll work with the hardware wallet, so that's not a problem. And you can have let's say you have a cold wallet, you want all your stuff to go to. Let's say you're doing stuff and you just send funds to a cold wallet for just stored. Let's say you send Pulsebitcoin every time your basic miner is done. You send percentages a cold wallet. It's just an address, right? It's all it is. And you send it there and it sits there, right? And so you can do stuff like that. So, but yeah, it is going to have hardware wallet capabilities. That won't be a problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what's interesting there is you say you can give Tetra permission to, you put your code in, and then once you've almost put that code in, then you've almost given it permission to run the functions.
It does. That's what it's doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and then what you can do is, what you're saying is, you can take yield and put that into your storage, and obviously then Tetra can't have access to that.
Yeah, we also have some security strategies that can run, that we're going to offer, like for people who are worried about what if I lose my seed phrase or whatever, and we can have Red Squirrel has it's called Squirrel Sentinel strategy, that it basically has all your gas in a separate wallet. So unless the gas comes from that wallet, that strategy will not deploy. So you're going to worry about, you lose your seed phrase, save your Tetra wallet for whatever, and somebody tries to put gas in it from a different wallet to do something malicious, they'll shut it down.
Yeah, I was reading about that in your Telegram for this stream, and someone was mentioning security.
We have some internal security ways to make through design of strategies and utilization that Red came up with, that really makes it where it's really hard for scammers to steal from you and stuff like that. So let's say you have a compromised wallet out there, even say a MetaMask wallet right now. Let's say it's compromised. Well, you put it in Tetra and do that to it. Every time a scammer tries to utilize that wallet, it steals their gas from them.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's kind of that's roughly touched on counter scamming, but that's really cool. That I think Red Squirrel. I think I read that Red Squirrel was already working on some templates there.
Yep.
To have some fun with that. Okay. Next question. Could you have Tetra automatically harvest incentive rewards from PLSX farms or p-hux yield from stake pools, and automatically add to LPs to restake into the LP pools as a way to auto compound yield? Well, I assume you could, right?
Yep. That's real simple.
Yep. Yeah. The answer to that is yes.
I mean, basically, if you can do it manually, you can do it automatically.
Yeah.
Period. So that's a short answer for most any question about can you do this thing. Only time unless it's not on the blockchain, you can do it basically. So it's talking about like a Web3 thing, like you have to go to Web3, get off the blockchain to do something. That'd be different. But if it's on the blockchain, it can be automated with Tetra.
Yeah. And finally, last question: can Tetra backtest strategies or show a variable of future projections?
Yes, it can.
Yeah,
that's part of that's an important feature we're going to offer. So you kind of, as you test, you say, it works great on a bull or works great in a bear market, but it doesn't work good sideways. I have a failure point. All right, find it. Let's just fix this. Come up with another solution and try it again. Or in dynamic strategies, I know it's going to fail when it goes this way, but when it goes the other way, it works great. So I'll use this one over here, and then the condition's set to go the other path when conditions are change. Those are the type of things you would learn and develop and make dynamic strategies based upon the feedback you get from these events you want to program.
Are you okay for time? So I know we've got a lot of questions coming in here.
Fine. That's fine.
Let's keep going then. Yeah, thanks by the way for your questions, guys. I think it's great that you're asking these questions now, because otherwise we'll get a lot of questions after. And while we've got Neil here, it's great. So here we are. Okay. So this is from Alex Lehman. So are you depositing your ASIC miner from a cold wallet into a Tetra wallet to work for you? No, I don't believe that's the case. I think you're linking. Well, I'll let you answer that.
I think it's just you give it permission to deposit it for you.
Yeah. So you're almost linking it to that cold wallet.
Yeah, that's what's happening. It's not
rather
taking
than taking it out of your hard wallet and putting it in the Tetra.
Yeah, because it exists still on the hard wallet.
Yeah. So that's an important question. So you're still secure. You're just giving it permission to access that cold wallet. Yeah. And then obviously you can turn that off whenever you choose. Is it easy to stop the function and put back into your cold wallet at any time? Yeah.
Just do it. Just go in there, log it off, and shut it down, and take all your funds out. That as long as you don't make it immutable, you can do that.
And does Tetra use oracles?
Yes, we will be using the oracles available, and as time develops, we'll get all these new things coming on Pulsechain. We'll seek out the best and most efficient means to check price feeds and stuff like that. So, I mean, right now we're working on our in-house DEX aggregator. That's where we're at right now. So those price feeds and stuff will be done with what's available on Pulsechain. So when Fetch comes out from Liquid Loans, we'll be able to utilize that and stuff like that. So we're all kind of dependent on some other people's tech just because we're doing, but we're trying to make it where Tetra's as least independent as possible, so we're not relying on a third party for our functionality.
Yeah. So do we have an idea of launch time?
And it gives us a couple more weeks. We're close. We just are 75% done with DEX aggregator.
I heard that before.
Yeah, right. We're about 75% done with the aggregator, and so then this audit. So that's what we're waiting on. So about another week or so.
Guys. We all know how long things take.
Look, it was set for launch. Tetra's done. It's finished. That ain't the issue. It's the DEX aggregator and the node and the that was holding us up. That's what got us. Once OKX messed up and delisted Pulsechain, that threw a wrench in everything, and we wouldn't function. I mean, you might be able to do a limit order, and you might have done a trade or two, and really basic stuff. So it really wouldn't have functioned well. So we didn't want to come to market with just a terrible product that didn't work well. So we chose to hold off, do it right, have a better functionality. So when we do launch, everybody's happy.
Yes, Stephen's asking if on the fees. So if you move $1 million using Tetra, well, that's a nice problem to have, Stephen. If you have $1 million, good for you. But will it charge me $5,000? And
yes,
if so, how will the fee be? So that's a good question, I guess. Let's say you don't have any Tetra, and let's say you're doing some sort of function, and let's say you sell. Let's say you do something real basic, like you get it to sell hex. And so where would it choose to find the fee in the token? Would it be from the tokens traded?
Yes, it's the value moved. So whatever the value that's moved from point A to point B, that's when it takes the fee, because that's the automated part of it, right? So you go to sell your $1 million worth of hex, you go to sell it, 0.5% comes off that. So, but you have to have that fee prepaid. If you got $1 million worth of hex, you can afford,
So are you saying that would he have to have $5,000, for example, of USDC in the wallet to pay for that, rather than it coming out of the actual hex?
All right. So there's some ways to get around that.
First of all, it needs the money or the ETH or the PLS to make the function, right?
Yep. Yeah, the
when
gas.
that's complete, where does it take the fee?
Yeah, it can take the fee from it if you program it that way. So we'd have to. That's some nuances what we're working on, because there's ways to do it automatically where your fees come from each step. That's why you want your steps a net positive at the end of the step. So it's like, imagine you're trading around and you're earning a certain percentage. Well, if you're automating it and you're doing a loop and you earn whatever your percentage is, but you get it cut every time, but you're still in a positive, does it really matter because you're still making money in your sleep? If you're making money when you sleep, how much is that worth to you? And that's kind of the concept. Think about it like arbitration, right? You arbitrate between stable coins. Well, price goes up, you have this arbitration event that happens several times a day across the DEX as well. If I'm arbitrating that with Tetra and making money, I'm willing to pay. I'm not making make as much, but even if we're running $1 million and you're paying 5, well, whoop-de-doo, because you're making 10.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're paying for that service to do it while you're asleep. You cannot do it while you all day, every day, 24/7. So what's that worth to you? That's the point.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, for me, it's really exciting. Again, Neil, thank you so much for the time you spent with us. It's really nice for the PSB community to have chats with other people doing interesting things on Pulsechain. It really is. So I think I can speak for the whole community and thank the Tetra team for organising this. And I would also like to say to you guys, if ever you guys have any updates in your team, and you're always welcome back here anytime. So yeah, so thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm the face of Tetra not by choice. It's just like, well, somebody's got to do it. I guess I'll do it. You know, I was already doing the strategies. So I'm like, well, whatever. I'm already doing the strategies. I might as well stick my face on camera, whatever. You know.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. It's just, I try to get Red Squirrel, but he's a little camera shy. So anyway, we decided. We all agreed I'll be the one to do it, and only because I had the knowledge of how everything works and everything, and I know what's going on with the team and everything. It helps understanding how things work to kind of talk to people like you and others and answer questions. Because Stu really doesn't have the time. He's so busy. He's what makes Tetra kind of different. Stu is not only the founder; he's also our main coder, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Stu's the main man. When I say he's the main man, he is the main man. So he's designing all this. Now he has other developers that work with him, but he's coded a lot of this himself and testing himself and stuff like that. So he really knows. I mean, on a bit by bit level, what exactly isn't not happening, what can and cannot be done, which helps us as strategy guys develop and innovate, because we ask him questions. Is this possible on a coding level? Yes or no? And if he answers yes, well, great. Then we have more possibilities. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Just we're learning what is and isn't possible on the blockchain because of this innovation.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much again. Please check out tetra.win. Check out pulsebitcoin.win. And thank you so much. I think we'll say goodbye to Neil, and I'm going to show a few videos of the last meetup for anyone who wants to stay on and watch that. But yeah, Neil, thank you so much, brother.
You're glad to have me. I'm glad to be here. And then I don't do live streams because what we're doing, but if I do some, maybe we'll get together later. Okay?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, mate.
Take care.
Take care. Yeah, so thanks, guys. That was amazing. I hope you're as excited about Tetra as I am. I think it has some, what do we like about Pulse Bitcoin so much? We love the fact that we say anyone can build upon it, right? And we've started to see that with Khan. Khan is a third-party protocol, and a lot of our community have involved themselves with it. So, with Tetra, I think this can be a real fun way where we can develop strategies in our own community and share them. And, and come up with some new ideas of how to close certain loops, and how to maximize our profits. We might find brand new strategies and we can all share them. But what I'm going to do is, because I'll probably be in LA next time we stream, so I'm going to try and put some videos out from LA, hopefully meet up with some other Pulse Bitcoin members there. But because I probably won't get the opportunity, I'm just going to play some of the interviews from our last meetup last week in London. Otherwise I might not get the chance. So yeah, let's check some of them out. We had some new members turn up, and we interviewed some of them, so let's go. We're here with Andre. Andre, first of all, why did you choose Pulse Bitcoin for your investment?
Well, for me, I chose Pulse Bitcoin because it has a huge similarity with Bitcoin. 21 million max supply, you can mine it into existence, and it's very easy to mine. It's a digital mining, you don't need a physical machine. The only thing what do you need, it's your own computer or your own laptop. So you can buy Pulse Bitcoin from a decentralized exchange like Uniswap or PulseX. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Pulse Bitcoin is a beautiful design, and the only way how you can bring it into existence is through mining.
And Andre, obviously, you can currently mine at 3.75% a month, but you don't have to mine, do you? If you don't want to go that complex, you can just buy it off the market, right?
You can buy it on straight from the market. That's up to you. You have two choices. Either you mine it, either you buy it straight away from the market.
And if you buy it, you can hold it as a premium store of value, and then you can choose to sell some at the next bull run, or you can choose to hold it for a long term.
That's up to you, but it's a huge similarity with Bitcoin for all of you guys, which they are missing on Bitcoin. You got the second chance. Your second chance is here.
Yeah.
Pulsebitcoin. Exactly like Bitcoin.
And what's the website for learn more?
Pulsebitcoin.win. Go on Pulsebitcoin.win and read the white paper.
And also you can go on the Telegram, you can join us in Telegram, and you can ask questions there, right?
It's everything over there. Just go on Pulsebitcoin.win.
Yeah, and all the description is below in this video to find out more. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, sir.
There you go, that's Andre. Shout out to Andre. I know he was here earlier in the chat, but yeah, thank you so much. He's one of our community leaders. He was the one of the people that came up with the idea that we're sending out these stickers to. So if you want to go on Telegram and get 100 stickers sent to you, let us know. We'll send them out to you. Let's play another interview. This is from another chap that turned up. I think he's been mining from the first or second month, but let's hear from him. So we're here with Alex at the Pulse Bitcoin meetup. Alex, how did you get into crypto, man?
So it was about 3 years ago. I was into money like every young person was, and I realised I wasn't going to do that just working. So I thought, what's the future of money? And it's definitely crypto. So that was the idea I went down.
Well, it's almost like, you know, investments these days, they're so hard to find, aren't they? It's like, if you keep your money in a savings account, we know you're losing money every day, aren't you? Yeah. They're inflating. The property market, it's hard to get. You work in property, right?
Yeah.
And you know, it's the property market is something which is great if you've got a lot of money, right?
Absolutely.
But if you're a young person starting out, I mean, let's compare that. I mean, if you're a young person starting out and trying to buy a property, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's much easier. I mean, I can tell you a real life story. I've made more from crypto than I would be able to save. It's simple as that. Properties is nice to get into, but by the time you save 40,000 on a deposit, what you could have done with cryptocurrency, you could do 5-10x with that.
Yeah. So it's like, so some people out there, they're trying to save up for a deposit, right?
Yeah.
So let's say they have a partner and they save up for 3-4 years, trying to get that deposit together. In a way, that's dead money for 4 years, isn't it?
The dollar is depreciating by the day. You don't need to be an economist to know that it's depreciating by the day. And cryptocurrency is definitely the future. Everything's getting more digital now, as it is. So it's almost like a no-brainer, and it's almost quite obvious in a way.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's so many cryptos out there.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Pulsebitcoin? Was it through friends or?
It was through cousins, friends. The name already, Bitcoin's quite established, and I managed to do quite well with Bitcoin, and the way my cousin explained it was Pulsebitcoin shared a lot of similarities with Bitcoin. So I was just thinking, let me go down this route and see how it goes. And it's got a bit of a backbone to it, and there's a good community behind it. So
yeah, Andre, any other questions you think?
That's it, Alex. Excellent, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. One more question before we go. You're in sales, right?
I am in sales.
And obviously we understand that you can have amazing code, which we believe Bitcoin does, but a lot of it comes down to sales. As a salesperson, and selling, if you could sell any cryptocurrency, how do you find selling Pulsebitcoin?
Well, sometimes it's just in the name. It's almost like a Rolex or a Ferrari. It's like Bitcoin is the god of cryptos. So when it's almost got the name in it, it just automatically captures your attention, and that's basically what it done with me. So my attention's on that for sure.
Yeah.
All
right, man. Any final thoughts?
Buy more. Keep buying.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Cheers, Alex. Yeah. Thanks to Alex and Andre for that. We've got plenty more interviews, but I'll save them for another time. But yeah, everyone, we've streamed for quite a while now. I guess. Yeah, let's play the outro if I can find it. Yeah. All right, guys. See you soon. I'll be in the Telegram chat after, so hopefully see you in there and we have a catch up. Take care.
Things have been getting this money at their disposal.
Life is hard, with rising inflation and a soaring cost of living. Bitcoin was a way to escape this, but now Bitcoin is dying. When Bitcoin started, you could use a laptop to mine it with just a few clicks. Now, Bitcoin has been hijacked by big money, making it impossible for the average user to make life-changing wealth. It's slow, it's outdated, and expensive. The world needs a better Bitcoin. The future is here, and the future is Pulse Bitcoin. Faster, more secure, non-polluting, and DeFi compatible. Old Bitcoin mining requires expensive mining rigs and costly energy bills, making it almost pointless. With Pulse Bitcoin, you can software mine by staking your ASIC tokens, utilizing proof-of-stake technology on the Ethereum network. It's so easy to participate. Simply buy the ASIC token on Uniswap, then go to Pulsebitcoin.app and set them to mine for 30 days. You'll earn 7.5% of the token amount in Pulse Bitcoin every 30 days. Don't want to mine? Easy. Simply buy Pulse Bitcoin on the open market and hold it as a powerful store of value. You are so early. This ecosystem is packed with tokenomics designed to drive the price up. Pay your future self by participating in the most aggressive, price-appreciating ecosystem in existence. A decentralized, peer-to-peer Bitcoin, the way crypto was always meant to be. Go to pulsebitcoin.com. It's time for a better Bitcoin. It's time to make life-changing wealth.